Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us. Today is August 12th. We are on the Fit or Bust Nation team call. I'm excited to be here with Stephanie Rodriguez and the whole team. My name is Arnauld Nakah. I got to meet Stephanie over at Summit and then again at Super Friday in Minneapolis. And so she, we had a great conversation, got to meet a couple of you there, and looking forward to speaking with all of you tonight. The reason why Stephanie invited me is to share just a quick talk that I had at the Super Friday in Minneapolis, where we essentially talked about the trials that happen when we get started on a journey after the emotional high of a rocking event as awesome as Summit. So just by raise of hand, would you just go like this if you were at Summit? Anybody that was at Summit? Okay. So keep your hands up if you're going to be at Summit next year, and raise them if you're planning to be at Summit next year. Okay, very good. Everybody's hands should be up. We're planning an incredible summit. Obviously, this one, for those of you, I think most of you were there for the very first time. It was an undertaking. It was unbelievably fun for us to welcome that many coaches in one setting. I remember 4 years ago when I started in 2011, and I started working in the central region. We had 2,500 people, and it was at LA Live, downtown Los Angeles. For those of you that either live there or have been there, that's where the Los Angeles Lakers, Clippers, the LA Kings play, and we thought, wow, we are killing it here. We have 2,500 people. How about 10x that 4 years later and looking to even be bigger next year? And so it all started with a seed. It all started with really a project that Carl had, and he's grown to where we are now. And Summit, I can't emphasize the importance of it. Obviously, for those of you that were at Summit, you would understand the importance of it. I really don't want to get into that. But what I wanted to talk about today is a personal experience that I went through a couple months ago that I think relates a lot to your business, relates to the ups and downs of the business. And if I have your permission today, I'm just going to talk very candidly about my experience. And hopefully through that, you're living some of the same experience. And then we're going to come up the top and really lay out a map, a roadmap, if you will, of what we need to do to come out of it. But because it's great to find out, the experiences, that whether it's good or bad that we went through, I think the more important part is, what did you do to get out of that? What did you learn from that? Okay. So let me share this. Let me know if you see it. I'm going to share my PowerPoint here, and we'll get this show on the road. So will you just give me a thumbs up, Stephanie? Okay, you see it?
We see it.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you guys about this thing here. It's the 18-mile marker. And so just by, if you were just to nod, I don't know how many of you are runners, but if you're a runner, then you understand that this is a scary spot in the race. It's the 18-mile marker of a marathon. And so some of you that are runners are smiling and you understand this. I see some smiles, so good. I actually speak some of the same language. So let me tell you this. Before I even decided to attempt to run a marathon, the furthest I had gone before is 3 miles. And I was that 3-mile guy, and that's all I did. And really, that was my comfort zone. Anybody familiar with that? We get into a comfort zone. We feel that we've done enough. Hey, you know what? I'm doing better than that guy eating chips and pizza, sitting on the couch watching whatever in the world is on TV these days. I really don't know, right? I'm doing better than my cousin that has a history of diabetes but continues to eat sugar and ice cream and all that. We tell ourselves that. We tell ourselves that just because I've gotten to a certain point, I should be satisfied. I should be good enough. And it wasn't until a coach, believe it or not, challenged me to run a marathon that I said, you know what? I'm not going to back down from this. I'm going to go for it. Okay. And so essentially this coach called me out and said, hey, listen, so you've done Insanity, you've done P90X. What's next in your repertoire? Are you going to just still keep waiting for the next Beachbody thing to come out to, to push your limits? Or are you going to, are you going to come run with me one of these, or maybe you run one of these one day? And this was not in the picture. This 18-mile marker wasn't in the picture. Remember, the 3 was my magic mile. It's 3, and that's as far as I could run. So I made the decision, and this is when I made the decision, okay? It was at the New Leader Conference. It was in California early this year in January, where I basically sat in front of, I stood in front of over 200 people, and I said, I will be a 2015 marathon finisher. And I remember being exhilarated, really being excited about the thought of finishing a marathon. But what the people didn't see is when I went back to my seat after that, I felt very warm inside, and not the kind of warmth that makes you feel good, but the warmth that scares the crap out of you, okay? Going, what did I do, okay? So let's relate this to the business. Many, many times when we set goals, we set resolutions, we might be in the comfort of our couch as talking to our spouse, or maybe talking to our significant other, or maybe talking to our success partner, or talking to our wonderful upline coach, Stephanie. But many, many times when we're doing that, we're excited, we're very comfortable, we're not thinking about the tough parts of this journey. We're mostly thinking about, I'm comfortable and I'm going to do this, right? So if you think about how many people set New Year's resolutions, how many people? Millions of people set New Year's resolution. By March 15th, okay, a month before April 15 tax season, 90% have already given up on that, on those resolutions. So it's very easy to do that, right? Here's what happens. They hit this. Mile marker 18. Okay, so this is what I want to talk to you about. So I signed up for it, and here's the thing: when you're so excited and you're just pumped, you just have all this energy, and I call it artificial energy. I call it energy that is not tested yet, right? But some of that energy rubs off on people. A few crazy people just kind of go, you know what? We're gonna sign up with you. And you get a few suckers to go, you know what, I'm going to do it with you. So on this picture, you've got Doug Moss there in the middle and Kim Carver there on the side, on the right side. So, they're all excited, okay? So let me take you back to mile marker 18. We had trained for about probably 2.5 months, and we felt pretty comfortable with running. We, outside of a few kinks here and there, when you're running a lot, you start feeling the kinks. You're not the recovery time is not as fast as it was in my early 20s and to my teens, right? The recovery time basically takes all day sometimes on some of the long runs, which are basically 8-10 miles or more, leading up to 20 miles. And it's really tough, but it gets you prepared for the real day. But nothing really gets you prepared for mile marker 18 and the wall that you hit, okay? So the next few seconds are going to be graphic, and there's probably going to be noise that you're going to wish that you muted your computer, because I'm about to describe what happened on mile marker 18, okay? Let me talk about mile marker 13.5, which is halfway through the race, okay? See, so Kim there that you saw on the far right, his experience, okay? The one thing about going on a journey, it helps to have someone that is experienced, someone that has done marathons, someone like Stephanie that's going to be a 6-star diamond here soon, that's going to be an elite coach, that's going to push you. But it also helps to have someone that you're going to run along with. And that person for me was Doug Moss, the gentleman in the middle there, okay? So here's what we do. We pass mile mark, just the half marathon marker, and this is what we do. I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to reenact exactly what we do. We're taking selfies. We're sitting there taking selfies, right? Because you know what? You work with Beachbody coaches, you have to take a selfie, otherwise it did not happen. And guess what? We took enough of a break to not only take a selfie, but we posted it on Facebook to our followers, right? That was our first break. That's 13 miles, okay? So we're feeling pretty good. It's like after a couple hours, we're feeling pretty good. What we did not foresee and what we did not know is what was going to happen at that crazy mile marker 18. See, I had heard other marathoners talk about mile marker 18, and as I'm talking about mile marker 18, this mile marker 18 could be anything for you. It could be, you know, you got to Emerald and you hit a wall, or you got to Diamond and all of a sudden your challengers were just not responding to you. You know, you're not getting as much traction from your friends, or maybe your list of friends and family ran out. All of us on this call have ran into the proverbial mile marker 18. So 5 miles down the road, okay, I don't know if you can see me in my office, but 5 miles down the road after the halfway point, we grabbed a couple oranges because we're really tired, right? Couple of oranges, drank water. Apparently we drank it too fast, okay? So at mile marker 18, we were pretty much dying, okay? So Doug, as fast as he ate the oranges, they came out. So he was going, like he literally thought that he was dying, okay? I started looking around for ambulances going, somebody help us, because this is not good, okay? This is life-threatening. I kid you not. And he's just like, and he was like literally choking. I thought I was going to have to give him one of those Heimlich, you know, the techniques, and I didn't want to get that close to Doug, okay? But if that day was his day, I was going to help him out. And the problem is I was walking gingerly, and from the waist down, my legs were stiff. Like my cramps are up and down, my calves, my hamstring, muscles that I didn't even know I had, they were cramped. So you have an invalid on one end, which is me, mile marker 18, and then you've got the poor guy that is throwing up his lunch, his breakfast, his dinner from last night, right there on the spot, okay? At that point, we had a choice to make. And you're going to have a choice to make. You're going to have a choice of going or a choice of stopping, okay? See, where we were was here. We were here, okay? And so let's say this is here. If you can see my cursor, we were probably about here. You think about it, we had covered a good distance to 18 miles, and we were trying to get here. Let me tell you this. That 18 miles really started playing tricks on us. The same way that success can play tricks on you. You might achieve a certain level of success. You might be really good with challenge groups or with your fitness. I talked to my good friend Greg. Okay, he was one of our Beachbody Challenge winners. He got cut. He lost over 125 pounds. And then he hit a mile marker 18. You might be doing great with your workouts, with your nutrition, but then all of a sudden you embrace that success or you hit a wall, and because of that, you just kind of slow down. And the problem with slowing down is it stops your momentum. See, the longer we waited while Doug was basically throwing up everything he's eaten his whole life, and I'm sitting there with cramps, the harder it was to get back up and going. The longer we waited and asked ourselves, is this good enough? Have we done all we could? Should we just grab a van down and take us to our family? Forget about the medal. I don't want the medal. I could care less about the medal. My health is more important. All of a sudden, you start asking yourselves questions like, am I crazy? Think about the business. Okay, let's talk about the business. You're on this call. It's close to 6 where I am. It's probably 7 Central. It's 8 Eastern time. You're in your living room. Your family's probably outside maybe playing, or you know, your kids are going nuts in the background. My 2-year-old always does that when I'm on calls, okay? So I hear you, right? Or you've had a long day at work, and then you jump on a call, then you got to do your power hour. Do you ask yourself sometimes that where you question your sanity? Where after getting a bunch of no's or, you know, a bunch of people telling you how crazy you are, that you question yourself? See, when I told people in front of that audience, everybody supported me. But then when I started talking to my friends and family that didn't want anything to do with long distance, Most said that I was crazy. Most said that I would never do it. Most said that it was a mistake. Some even went as far as saying that I've trained, I've done all that I can, you're still not going to finish it, and dared me to do that. Okay? Do you have people like that in your life that question you? Do you have people in your life that not only you hit mile marker 18, but it's like you hit it and then they give you like this big weight, like here, carry 50 pounds on top of that mile marker 18, that don't really make it easy on you, where you truly do ask yourself, see, that's where we were. We were asking ourselves that, right? And what we needed to do is we needed to really change our paradigm, the way we're thinking about it. See, the way we were thinking about it is the graph here on the left. And maybe you guys might have seen it, okay? But this graph on the left basically said, you know, success is like this, and you go straight up, okay? You have, you know, read something, you have an idea, network a little, and then all of a sudden, success happens overnight, right? But guess what? Real life is here on the right-hand side, right? You work like crazy. You're going to fail 100 times, 1,000 times. Life is going to happen. The plan doesn't always work the way that you thought it would work, and nothing is going to be given to you overnight. Nothing, including your business. Right? And so as you're thinking about your journey right now, I really want to ask yourself, I want you to think about a couple things, right? Number one, what's your mile marker? What mile marker are you going through right now? Okay. Number two, I want to ask yourself again, okay, so what are you doing this for? Okay. I'm going to talk later about what I was doing. And I had to dig deep. Sometimes you have to dig deep. Maybe you're not hitting a strong mile marker, but the thing with mile markers, they don't happen all of a sudden. They kind of build up, okay? Every time that you don't do your workout, you're adding to that mile marker, to that push. Every time you don't do that power hour, all of a sudden, when you stop, it's going to be that much harder. It's not that mile marker, nor is that going to be that one day when you're clicking on all cylinders. It's those days, it's that step after step after step that you take that's going to really, really challenge you to do every day. And I'm going to challenge you to do it every single day. Because at that point, I'm telling you, the longer I waited, the further my aspirations of being a 2015 marathon finisher went. And so we asked ourselves, and I'm sure that you're asking yourself, like, geez, what happened in the race, okay? Not there yet. Okay, I'm going to talk about it. Here's how you close that gap. Okay, let's talk about how you close the gap that really is going to help you achieve any goal that you set your mind to. Okay, the first thing is, although I was relying on Doug, I couldn't at that instant. I needed to rely on myself. Right? You got to look at it, Mindy, and say, if it's going to be, it's up to me. It doesn't matter how much training, Lucia, Stephanie gives me, it's going to be up to me, right? At the end of the day, I need to make it happen. Laura knows that. Jessica knows that. Jenna knows that. You have to know that. You have to manage yourself, right? Because the easiest thing is to set these goals. The hardest thing is to manage those goals and to manage yourself, right? What you have to do many, many times, okay, is you need to do the hard things at inconvenient times. Literally, to me, that's the definition of success right there. You have to be willing to do the hard things at inconvenient times. And guess what? I would probably look through all of you on here. I think we've got 30 plus. I don't know how many we have. This is not a convenient time to be on a call. You're listening with your headphones on. You're probably in the middle of like going to a play or going to get kids' school supplies. I know school is starting around the country. You have to be willing to do this, right? It almost is, if you're going to get there, you have to be willing to do this, right? And that will determine how fast you get to your goal. You can do it slow and steady. Absolutely possible. That's the beauty of building this business and being your own boss. But if you want to avoid these mile markers and kind of go over them, you need to do those hard things right now before the proverbial bleep hits the fan. Okay? Did you catch that? I just censored myself, Stephanie. So you need to really do that, right? The third point there, it's intensity, right? So intensity really goes with that second point. which is HIIT training. Okay, so as you guys know, HIIT training is, you're working, or running, or working out. Trust me, I did core cardio last night with Sean T. There's no better HIIT training than that. I think it's just second to plyometric cardio circuit for my Insania XL, right? But you're like going, and then you stop for a little bit. Notice that Sean T doesn't give you too much time to rest. He knows, and he's proven that if you rest for too long, you're gonna forget your steps. You're gonna be too tired to get started, and quite frankly, when it's time to get back and you look up at the mountain that you have to climb, you're gonna say, I don't think it's worth it. And next thing you know, you're on your phone, checking Facebook. Oh, I've got to get back to this customer. I'm not gonna do this workout, right? Ever happen to anybody? It's happened to me, okay? So you've got to just keep going, okay? And then the last thing is you have to manage your mile markers. You have to. You need to know what they are. So I'm going to challenge you to write down what your mile markers, as I'm talking between now and the end of this, would you mind just sharing what your mile marker is? Would you mind sharing that wall that you're hitting? Because I trust you. I trust that, Lisa, if you have that mile marker, Stacy might have gone through it. Maybe you might have overcome it, right? Or Anna, she might have gone through that, right? So do me a favor, just jump in the message, okay? This is when I ask you to participate. Type in, be bold, share what your mile marker is. What are you running into, okay? Here's what will be even better. How have you overcome it yourself? What have you done to overcome it yourself, okay? So I'm not seeing the message board, but I expect a novel by the time I'm done, okay? So I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I'm hitting this mile marker, and I'm asking myself, is it worth it, okay? And obviously all of you are probably still asking yourself, like, did this guy finish that marathon, or is he going to, like, lead us like a crazy path here where there's absolutely zero lesson learned, right? I'm happy to say that I finished it. And I can tell you that every time, like that's like every time I see this picture, it gives me goosebumps. Matter of fact, it was so important to me that I actually carry this thing everywhere I go. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm pretty proud of this thing, right? And I'm not proud because of the marathon or anything. I'm proud because we overcame our mile markers. This is not a symbol of anything that I'm going to put up anywhere, but it's just a reminder that I can overcome, that I can do the hard things, right? That you know what? It also looks good on my wall, and what looks even better is adding another one. Is pushing myself, right? You're going to get some swag as a diamond, as a star diamond. Next year you'll be getting the elite guitars, right? And you need to remember that that's not just this thing, it's what this thing represents, right? I'm proud to have finished it with Kim Carver and Doug Moss. I'm proud of the really the bond that we built through going through something as tough as this. And I'm proud that we overcame, and our excuses were smaller than our drive to finish what we needed to do. Our drive to finish were a lot bigger than our fears and any excuses that we had, okay? Thank you for filling it in. I see 6 already have posted. Keep posting, please, okay? Let me tell you this. We need to continue closing the gap. And the question is, how do we close the gap? And better yet, the question is, why should we close the gap? Right? There's 3 things that Carl Deichler talked about that I learned tremendously from. There is a book, if anybody can remember, around curiosity that he recommended, that is phenomenal. That basically talks, I think it's called A Curious Mind. If anybody knows the title of the book, please post it here. If not, I'll certainly share it with Stephanie, and you can, spread it to the rest of the team. But he talks about being curious, right? If I wasn't curious enough, if I didn't have an open mind, if you didn't say, you know what, yes, I just finished Insanity, I just lost 30 pounds, I'm curious about this coaching thing. Tell me a little bit more, right? Or some of you, you had this high school friend or a college friend, and you're curious enough to look at their Facebook page and what do they call that? I don't think they call that looking at someone's Facebook page. There's a term, stalking their page. Yes, you were stalking their page. You're like, oh, what is this? Like, okay, you're like sweaty. You're posting a sweaty selfie, but you were curious enough. And curiosity opened this world that you didn't know even existed, maybe, right? And next thing you know, you find yourself with 20,000 other coaches, and now you're on a team call, and you get paid to work out. You get paid to continuously work on yourself, and you get paid to help others. I mean, what better job description can you really get, right? So continue being curious, right? The second thing is be organized. Here's what I realized. And I realized that because I love what I do, and I do it all the time. Okay, I'm like on all the time. And the nice thing about that is I'm on all the time and I get stuff done. Kind of the things that I struggle with is fitting in anything else, friendships, being involved in the neighborhood, HOA, things that regular 9-to-5 people do, right? And then I added, hey, I'm going to run a marathon, honey. Do you think I can have the whole Saturday to run it, to train for it, and then to recover, right? I had to be organized. If I was going to do it and not sacrifice my family time, I had to be organized. And one of the things that I did is I did something that I despise. Okay, let me just be upfront. I despise waking up early, right? I'm very productive. I'm more productive at night. Maybe some of you relate than in the morning. And so I had to wake up early in the morning during the weekdays to do my running, right? Everybody's posting those 5 a.m. workout selfies, and I'm going, you guys are nuts. I can never do that stuff, right? I'm the guy that works out late at night. I just have more energy at night, right? So I had to be organized, which meant moving my runnings early before work, right? And the last thing is you have to be ambitious. You have to be ambitious. You have to want it more. You have to want it. You have to believe that you are meant to finish a marathon. You are meant to become a star diamond. You are meant to become a premier or elite coach or whatever. Fill in the blank or whatever it is that you want to do. You have to be ambitious. And I think ambition is found primarily by yourself, right? And secondary, a little bit distant, is looking at others and getting energy from others, right? Finding other like-minded people. That's the reason why you're on this call. That's the reason why you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to push you a little bit more, right? So those 3 things I think are head on. And if you're not at Summit, Carl talked about those 3 things, right? So you have to run. That's the last thing. You have to run, right? So earlier I talked about nice and steady. Just go nice and steady, right? It's just kind of like the comfortable pace. I'm challenging you to run. We just came off of Summit. We just came off of Super Friday, Super Saturday. It's very easy to just be so excited and to have that artificial excitement. Yes, it's going to rub off on a few people, but you know what? Where you make your mark, where you build your legacy, where you really do change life, where you start influencing people is the people that do it for the long haul. Time and time again, when the going gets tough, they keep going. When it's inconvenient, they still do those hard things. When nobody else cares, they're curious. When nobody else is really, if they have this circle of friends that, they're just satisfied with what they have, they look for a different circle of friends. They get ambitious, they get organized, they get curious, and they run. They run like a bat out of hell, right? If that's not enough reasons to run, maybe you should run, because when you come off of an event, okay, like Jessica did, okay, you capitalize on it, you build momentum on momentum on momentum. You don't wait for the momentum to artificially bring you up. Jessica just takes it and says, I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to wait for Super Friday, Super Saturday, the next Summit. I'm going to make it happen right now. Run because maybe you want to be around other crazy, fun people too, because it is fun. Because the extra mile, there's not that many people there. Only 20,000 crazies that wake up at 4 in the morning in Nashville and do all these workouts, okay? Maybe you want to do it because you want to get some of this energy. Like, seriously, it's like your next post should be this picture and go, any questions? I mean, it's like, why haven't you joined us yet? right? Maybe you want to run because you know what? They clean up nice too. They're not always working out and like in these sweats and, you know, and taking the, you know, the sweaty selfies and all that. They have a great time. They participate in these great events. They're around each other. They uplift each other. They tell each other how great everybody is doing. They talk about the real stuff. They're also honest about themselves. This is not we're all smiling. We talk about real stuff, real everyday things that people deal with. Or maybe if you or me, you run because this 70-year-old grandma in a bedazzled pink tutu passes you, speed walking, and she passes you and you're going, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. I'm going to catch up to her. And sure enough, okay, and I feel bad saying this, but it's good for my ego. I did pass her a mile down the road, okay? Just to be accountable to you guys, right? You have to run. But you know what? She's 70. She ran that. She commended it. She was confident. You could tell that she's ran other ways as well. That's what made her so good, right? For any of you that have run marathons, you always have these people that you look and you go, okay, so if that guy passes me, if that guy passes me, I'm just gonna stop, okay? Do you know that I had hundreds of people pass me that I thought they're never going to pass me? You have to be humble. You have to humble yourself. As long as you have a strong reason why, that will keep you going. Run lastly because maybe, just maybe, you have people, like for me, Olivia Grace Nakah, she looks up to me. She runs up to me and I'm her hero, okay? Outside of Merida maybe, or a few other princesses from Disney, okay? I run because I had a reason. In that very moment, that's who I thought about. And in that very moment, all of a sudden, all these stars starting aligning, and next thing you know, I just focused in, and I just focused on step after step after step. And by mile 20, Jeff Hill, that you guys hear on the National Wake Up Call every Monday, he showed up on a bike. It's like the universe just starts conspiring to help you when you're showing not only that you want it, okay, but you're working your butt off for it. All of a sudden, these things start happening, and you're asking yourself, wow, that's the definition of luck. That's like hard work that's meeting preparation and hard work that is finally meeting opportunity. That's what luck is. And so I challenge you to run. I don't know what your end point is. I don't know what your 26.2 is. I don't know if it's a 13. I don't know if it's a 5K or a 1K. I don't care if it's diamond, star diamond, premier, elite. I would push you towards elite. Make it happen. Run. Identify those 18-mile markers. Push like crazy. It's worth it. I'm looking through this chat, and there's like 45 different messages. I hope you guys have paid attention to this. Look at this. Look at what Anna and Stephanie and Karen and Jessica and Laura have overcome, and use that. Use that to your advantage. Keep surrounding yourself with the right people that are going to push you. But please do me a favor and keep running. So, Stephanie, I appreciate the time.
Arnauld, you brought tears to my eyes. You got me crying once you show my team on the screen and your story. And oh my gosh,
isn't that awesome though?
So good. Awesome? Do you mind if we take a quick picture?
Yes. Give everybody a chance to smile so they're not half sleepy or like, I've seen a few of those.
Nobody chat because it shows up a blue box. So don't say anything for a minute and just smile. Jeez. I think we got it. Thank you.
Very well. Listen, if we're not connected yet on Facebook, let's connect. That's pretty much all where I am. No Twitter, no Pinterest, no Instagram. Yes, I need to catch up with the times, but I appreciate you.
It's Periscope now. You have to get on Periscope. That's the new thing.
Periscope. Okay, very good.
You got to follow Shalene. She'll teach you all about it.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Stephanie, thank you again for having me, and I'll be sending you the recording of this call. So, Tim Fit or Bust, appreciate you. Keep on going. Let's run hard.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, everybody.